Hey guys, it's Crystal Lee Moore-Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Crystal Lee Moore in London, Ontario, and I am so happy you are here with us. This is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional in Ontario. And we are going to be talking today about energy, delivering the unexpected, giving people a chance, and finding what fuels you. So let's just dive right in. I had a really great call with my coach, and I have to say, so if you don't have a real estate coach, I would definitely get on getting a real estate coach. And this, if you're not a realtor and you're an entrepreneur listening, get a business coach. Because if you really dig into every single person who is successful and who is kind of one of those people that you're emulating, they all have coaches. So even great coaches have their own coaches. And at the end of the day, you really want someone to bounce ideas off of who has a vested interest in you doing well. And my coach talked to me about energy, and he said, Crystal, don't give inside circle energy to outside circle people. And of course, I said the same thing you're probably thinking right now. What does that mean? And he explained it, and he said, inside circle energy, that's the best energy you have. That is your kind of the energy that you love on your clients with. It's the energy that motivates you and that really helps you achieve things, that helps you give an impact in the world. And outside circle people are people that don't really deserve to be in that special space that you hold. So if someone is not going to honor you or appreciate you or respect you, they just don't get to be in that circle. And it's a kind of a fun way of saying don't spend time on those people. So when we look at what happens when we let ourselves kind of get dragged into situations, it's not great. It will maybe deplete your energy. It'll take your focus away. And at the end of the day, you know when you're spending time with good quality people who appreciate you. I had another coach once that said, go where you are celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And think about that. So if there's any situation, whether it's a client, a colleague, a friend, a family member, whatever, if you are not celebrated and you're not able to celebrate them, and it becomes something where you feel you're being tolerated, think about what is that doing to your self-esteem? It's not worth it. So either fix the relationship or distance, right? Like you don't have to spend extra time with people that are going to make you feel not great. So then we get into delivering the unexpected, and delivering the unexpected can go in a variety of places. I was having some really great chats with realtors, and I would say if you're not already talking to your colleagues, schedule time to speak with colleagues both in your market and outside of your market. And again, for us, for the entrepreneurs, make time to speak to other colleagues or other colleagues in other markets, because you might find some really great similarities, some great conversations, and you'll always walk away with something extra. Hopefully you can give something, hopefully you can get something. But I was talking to a colleague today on the other side of the country, and we had an accountability call. Amazing girl. We had kind of known each other sort of for a few years, but never really had a chance to talk. So we had this great talk, and I left so inspired. And she had a great attitude about kind of living life to the fullest, which was fantastic. But we are talking about giving those unexpected extras. And it reminded me of a situation that's happened lately in real estate. And let this be a lesson to learn from. So when I deal with clients, especially buyers, and I connect them with a lender, or they already have a lender, what I will often do is try to get the information from the lender, because I'd like to be sending information. I'd like to be making sure that they have everything they need. They need the offer, they need the MLS, they need whatever it is. And what happens sometimes when you're not part of that communication is that something could get missed. So I had a situation where I was dealing with a colleague, and And his philosophy was that we don't get involved. So you send the offer to the client has it, and it's up to them to do what they do with it. And I think everyone works differently, and that's fine. But in this situation, we found out nothing had been submitted to the lender, and they ended up possibly losing the deal because obviously you need an answer before you can firm up a deal. And the lender didn't even know there was an offer on the table because the client didn't know that they were supposed to send it. And so the agent is sitting there going, well, I didn't want to overstep, but I think as realtors and as entrepreneurs, when we're taking care of a client, we're saying, we've got you. So we're going to help manage that. And I mean, quite frankly, guys, we're paid pretty well to manage that. So we really should be making sure that we might do this all the time. A buyer or seller is probably doing it maybe a handful of times in a lifetime, unless they're an investor. But realistically, like this is our jam. We know what we're doing. And going above and beyond and doing that unexpected extra where you're kind of facilitating the transaction, making sure that you're introducing them to the lawyer, and then being there for any fallout. So it's not to say that we're doing anyone's job. You're just making sure that everyone knows that you are more than happy to be the go-between. And this is kind of right up into the point of the closing. Once it closes, there's really, I mean, you can emotionally support. There's not much we can do after that. But prior to closing, we're kind of like, we've built this trust with the client. We really should be the one who, if there's a problem, they can let us know. And if we work collaboratively with our clients and with our lenders and our lawyers, that's where you might even end up getting a referral from that. So let's say you have a really great rapport with a lender and you meet them because of a client, but they really like how you work, they like how you collaborate, and then they end up having a client who needs a realtor like you. Who do you think they're going to call? And that's where you can build these relationships just by doing the little extras, the unexpected extras. Send someone a card. It was really great to talk with you. It was great to work with you. And you'd be surprised how developing these little relationships, yes, it's good for business, but oh my goodness, does it make your job more fun too. You get to make friends. And at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, if you've established a relationship with someone, you can work through it together. And it's a lot easier to do that with someone you've spoken to rather than a stranger you've never talked to. So I would say there's a way to help facilitate. If your client's really adamant that they don't want you to even have the name of the lender, I would personally look at that because we need to know that everything is going right. And if we're helping as a buyer agent, remember that the seller and the seller agent are trusting that we have qualified the client. So we do want to make sure that they've been pre-approved. We want that verification and that they can pay for the house, but also know who they've been pre-approved with, because we certainly don't want to get to the closing day and have some bad news to deliver to the seller and their agent. So we're going to flip over now to giving people a chance. And what does that mean? When we are, let's say, in a situation where we're networking, we have this like overload of stimulation. We meet hundreds, especially at a larger event. So I just came back from a conference in Calgary, a Royal LePage conference, and I think there's like 1,000 realtors there. And I'm probably underestimating, but like 1,000 realtors, and we're meeting everyone kind of all at once. And we have a few seconds to give a first impression, to be memorable, to build a relationship. And sometimes people think you have to do it all there. I personally have a lot more confidence in the process where you meet them there, maybe have a great chat, remember the chat, and then send them something in the mail. So send a little card, send a little note after. Sometimes I do a video, because you do want to build that rapport and build that relationship. But if you feel like there's so many agents and you barely remember anyone, they're going to feel like that too. So how can you stand out in the crowd, and how can you show them that they stood out in the crowd, right? Because at the end of the day, people's first concern, whether you like it or not, is themselves. And it's not in a mean way, not in a selfish way, but that's how we all view the world, right? So if you show someone that they they mattered and you noticed them, that's a huge step forward. The next thing is, what can we do? So let's say you have the kind of giving people a chance, getting to know them. What happens if you kind of put yourself out there and you meet people and they just don't like you? What happens? The simple answer is nothing happens. It doesn't really matter if someone likes you or not. There's like billions of people in the world. There are going to be people that don't like you. And the reasons will vary. I deal with this kind of frequently where I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. Years ago, I had to learn, not as many years as I would like, but years ago, I had to learn that not everyone would like me, and to be okay with that, but to really lean into the people that do get me and the ones that do like me. And I think what we should all do is, instead of being so concerned about fitting in and people approving of you, and if you do this, then you'll be on the good side of things, just be your best you. Lean into the people that celebrate you. If someone is judging you, or if someone just isn't vibing with you, get away from them. You don't need them in your circle. Don't burn a bridge. Don't be rude. But when it comes down to it, I very much believe that how you treat people, number one, is a reflection of who you are. So if you're going to talk badly about people, that is number one coming back on you. But it's also a reflection of playing small. And what I would like us to do is focus not on ever talking about people or talking down about people, but about really speaking about ideas and talking about how can we be better realtors? How can we be better professionals, entrepreneurs? How can we be better at impacting the world and giving back and philanthropy? And how can we just always be better today than we were yesterday? And leaving people better than when we found them. So these are very important ideas. Whether someone thinks you're not the right kind of person or not, that's not doing anything for anyone. So just remember, if you are on either side of that, if you are kind of thinking, oh my goodness, people are judging me or talking about me, you know what? Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. And if you're on the other side of that and listening to this, and you're one of the people that's maybe talking about people, talk about something better. Talk about clients or learning. There are only so many times around the sun we get to go. And wasting the precious time we have by talking about things that don't matter, at the end of the day, what are we doing? So I think that's really important. And one of the most important things as we're going through, we're into the Q4. So whenever you're listening to this, any time is important. But right now there are 3 months left of 2024. And what I do is, this whole situation that I was just talking about, if people aren't approving of you or you're feeling negativity, get away from that negativity and then just get fired up. You can flip it around, flip the script, and you can let things just fuel you. So I know I came back from this conference and I am fired up. It is a bit of a strange market in London right now, but I'm just making sure I am doubling down on my work and connecting and serving my clients. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, that's what we should be doing, because that's what we're here for. And you can very, very happily play just as hard if you work hard, and the results will be amazing. So I've talked before about how I run this mastermind group in our office, and what we started doing, we keep adding to the things that we report on. So at the end of every meeting, I ask everyone, I go through and say, what activities have you done? And originally we were kind of really leaning on the results. So how many sales, how many offers, blah, blah, blah. But now we're leaning way more on how many new conversations did you have? How many showings did you do? How many calls did you do? How many notes did you write? How many pop buys? And again, for our non-Buffinaires, popping by is just, you have a little gift, you bring it, or you send a little gift in a card. So how many of those? And the calls can be like how many actual phone calls, how many videos, how many texts, whatever you want. And the reason we do that is that we can't control how many houses we sell. We can't. So, I mean, there's so many factors at play. We can do all the right things. We still need a buyer or we still need a seller. Like these things have to happen. And so what we can control the calls, the notes, the pop buys, the new conversations. We can control how many social media posts we put out, how many newsletters we send out. We can control our attitudes, what we're reading, what we're listening to, all of these things. But to think that we can control the market or selling or buying, we cannot. Now, if we price something properly, and properly is a very questionable term right now in London, Ontario, but if we price it properly and the buyers are there, it will happen. We just need a connection mentally between buyers and sellers. And at the end of the day, it's keeping your attitude high and keeping all those activities going, because that's the momentum, right? That's how we're going to make it happen. And that can also include other things. So on your to-do list, you might have do your calls and your notes and your pop buys, but maybe you also have go for a walk every day or drink 8 glasses of water. Whatever you're checking off the list is going to help you. And that's kind of the best part, is that all of this work, everything works kind of holistically in conjunction with each other. So when we look at, we want business to go well, but we also want family to go well, and personal and finances. And we also want our spiritual life to be okay. And these are all the Buffini 5 circle goals. Those are the 5 categories: spiritual, personal, family, business, and financial. And the reason for that is that if you're suffering in any of those, you're not really living the good life. And so we want everything to kind of work together. And it might not be perfect, right? We might have months where we're kind of crushing it in one area and realize that we have to put some effort in the other areas. And there's a season for everything as well. But if you try and improve a little bit in every category, it will all come together, which is kind of cool. So just to recap, energy, make sure that you are using your inside circle energy on the right people, the right circumstances, and the right outlets. We also want to make sure that we're delivering the unexpected, and really going through and helping our clients, giving people a chance and making sure that hold your head high. If you're not being given a chance, that's okay. You just go around the people that celebrate you. You don't need the ones that do not. And I guess the best way to put the last part, let it fuel you. So whatever it is, let it fuel you, but first let it go. So if you have a situation that you don't like or something's happened and you're going to carry that situation around with you for days and days or weeks and weeks, it is ruining your life. And that's a big statement, but think about how many waking hours you might be wasting being upset about something that honestly does not matter. If someone that you barely know talks about you or thinks that you're not whatever enough for them, who cares? Let it go. Because you know what? You have better things to talk about and better things to do and better things to think about. And if they would like to continue on their merry way chatting about you, have fun. You go do that. I'm going to go live a better life. And that's kind of how you have to look at it. And the best part is that when you do let it go and you're just focusing on better things, your happiness level goes up. Absolutely. You don't need to worry so much. And the realtor I was talking to today said there's something that happens in your 40s. And if you're not in your 40s, don't worry guys, it'll happen. But in your 40s, you just stop caring what people think. And I don't know if it just happens overnight, but there's a power in that. There's a power in saying, this is me and I don't give a F what you think. And again, don't burn bridges. You don't have to blow up relationships. You just don't have to value them as much if they're not serving you. And if you are not able to celebrate that person and they can't celebrate you, then maybe just distance is the answer. And that includes clients too. So if a client is kind of not being what you need them to be, and you're maybe not the right person for them, then you can refer them, right? Like you can say, you know what, I think you're better served in this other area. I'd love to still stay in touch, but we're going to bring someone else in. And it might be the best for everyone. So you never know, but just keep your head high, focus on the good energy, and just keep crushing it, guys. I'm Crystal Lee Moore-Lucier. This is Realtor Life. Crystal Lee Moore, your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.